Hi, welcome to the wide world of trees. I'm Basler. Thank you for tuning in. Today I want to speak briefly about tree inventories. Tree inventories can manifest themselves in many ways. Sometimes they're just a list or a bunch of circles on a piece of graph paper. Usually a tree inventory is conducted in preparation for a land use change, where an undeveloped site is about to be developed, or a developed site is about to be redeveloped, and tree preservation measures are the forefront in the developers' minds, how we are going to go about promoting or preserving the trees on the site. I'm here at a park in Sugar Land, Texas. Most tree inventories are done by the surveyor, and they take a stab at the type of tree. Sometimes they're done by an intern. Tree inventories can be as complex or as simple as you want them to be. But one thing they should do is help a manager manage a property. In this case, this would be the Parks and Recreation Department of the city of Sugar Land. And yes, they know what they've got. But the best solution is for every tree to be geotagged. Nowadays, I don't know if they need a tag number or not. We still put tag numbers on trees. But it'd make a Parks and Rec Department manager's job, or even a city manager's job, a lot easier if he were to call up his arborist and say tree number 265 has a limb that's broken and hanging over the playset, or tree numbers 317, 318, and 319 are blocking the security lights. Now, I envision the tree inventories of the very near future to be updatable on your iPhone. In fact, there's probably some that already are. And I would like to call your attention to the Masonic Temple, the George Washington Memorial Masonic Temple in Alexandria, Virginia. Go to Google it, go to their website, and you'll see that their trees are inventoried. There's a little symbol for every tree on the overhead map of the place, and you can hover your mouse over the symbol and see a picture of that tree, who donated it, and in whose memory. Pretty neat. But the thing about, and the reason I'm at Sugar Land is, not all these trees have to be these 100-year-old granddaddies to be nice specimens. This is a lace bark elm. It's only about 15 to 17 inches in diameter, but you can see that it's a lot wider than it is tall, and it's got a great structure, and it's standing out on its own, unlike these lace bark elms that delineate the perimeter between the two soccer fields, and these lace bark elms that delineate the perimeter between the soccer field and the play area and picnic area. This one kind of stands all by itself. It's got a great shape and a great structure, and it's a good example of a formidable specimen that hasn't really reached any age or size. Tree inventory can help make your property a lot safer and a lot less expensive to manage in the long run. The other thing that I think is important to remember about tree inventories is they usually don't fall into an organization's annual maintenance budget. They're more of a capital outlay, and so they're a different budget item. You know, one institution where I did an inventory that was actually a feature that helped convince the board to have this done. And if you think about it, once an inventory is done, it shouldn't have to be done again. So you plant 25 new trees for the anniversary of the park or whatever, then you just add them to the inventory. An inventory really shouldn't be static anyway. It should be interactive. The manager ought to be able to say, okay, well, this one blew over in a storm, and go in there and change that on the inventory. Change it from a tree to a stump. This also helps keep statistics and helps you budget. And if you have a 5-year plan, then you can, an inventory helps in so many ways. And I don't mean these simple ones that are just a tree icon on a site survey. There's a lot more to it than that. A piece in the news is, since we're talking about municipal trees and inventories, tree management, New Canaan, Connecticut is coming under fire because they gave $436,000 worth of contracts to one tree company. And all the other tree companies said, hey, wait a minute, why didn't we get invited to the party? And I'll admit, I've said it in the past, why didn't I get invited to a party? But I think there's a number of things to take into consideration when it comes to municipal contracts. And well, let's just say that a tree company screwed up or acted unsafely. Let's say that a city manager or a Parks and Rec director has found a tree company that he's comfortable with, that does good work, that respects the residents, that doesn't damage property, responds, is responsive. What's the benefit to the taxpayers to put something like that out to bid? Do you want a low bidder for your on-call ambulance service? I'm not saying not to invite people in every once in a while to make sure that the rates on your insurance policy aren't on par with the industry, but an on-call contract or a 5-year tree maintenance contract it's no different from those other examples that I mentioned, like insurance policy or your fleet provider or your ambulance service. You find somebody you're comfortable with, and I don't understand why not give this guy, this outfit, $400,000 worth of tree work. I congratulate the town of New Canaan, Connecticut for having a $400,000 budget for trees. Because I know, I look at a city of a similar size in the suburbs of Houston, and I see that, they spent 11 grand on trees, and it was all emergency work. They're doing crisis response. They're not really managing their trees efficiently. Sometimes the question is, well, why should they? What's their incentive to manage the trees efficiently? And that's another question. But there's a lot of trees on that belong to a municipality. They got a dozen parks and a bunch of rights-of-way. The only trees that get cared for are the ones that get ceded to a homeowner association. Sure, take care of the ones in the Esplanade because nobody else is going to. There's a number of questions here. But a tree care operator, has to consider what's the right thing for his company, his employees, his backlog of work. And all things being equal, you don't want to take work and you know, overcharge for the work. But I've gone in on city and municipal and county contracts and said, well, this is such a pain in the neck. If I'm going to do this, it's going to be worth my while. I've priced myself out of jobs before, and I don't know very many tree guys who haven't. Now, some municipalities where I have the on-call contract, I'm pleased to have it. I'm pleased to have the work, and the price is right because the municipality is easy to do business with. And these are all factors that should be considered. This is why I like co-ops. So when it comes to New Canaan, Connecticut, a lot of questions need to be asked. What's the background story? Who's really complaining? Is it just a bunch of tree guys who are mad they didn't get their fair share? Well, maybe it's not a fair share. Maybe the guy who did get $436,000 contract, that is his fair share. Maybe the other guy who only got 20 grand, there's a reason. Maybe they're not operating safely. Maybe they're not operating honestly. You know, there's not necessarily any graft involved when one contractor gets an inordinately high amount of the work. Who takes care of these lamps? Right? Is the electric company or the lighting company complaining because they didn't get their fair share of the contracts? Is that a legitimate complaint? There's simply because a tree company or an electric company, a lighting company, lighting contractor, year after year after year, changes out more light bulbs than the next guy, does not mean there's any funny stuff going on. Something to think about. But I digress. It's probably a topic for another episode. Government contracts. Back to the inventory. Consider an inventory as an investment in the long-term management of your trees. I'm just going to go ahead and you're probably tired of looking at me, so let's look at some trees. This is predominantly Chinese elms, most of which were planted at about the same time. There are a lot of hackberries and green ash, but let's take a look at these. This is a prime example of a place that needs an inventory, needs a management plan, needs a 5-year plan. A 5-year plan to say, okay, what trees are we going to do in 2011? Which ones are we going to do in 2012? Obviously the things overhanging the jogging trail and keeping the branches from encroaching on the soccer field and keeping the lamps clear is a priority. But if you look at this grove of elms over by this play set here, there's dead branches, dead, broken, hanging, and every single one of these trees needs to be picked clean. That doesn't mean the budget for 2011 needs to be broken in the month of January. It does mean that dollars spent as part of a plan are dollars better spent than dollars spent as a response to a crisis. A fallen branch, a damaged car, wind damage, roof damage, or worse. once an inventory's been done, it's a lot easier to account for losses and to plan and budget for replacement trees. And it's also a great way to raise funds, because an inventory helps identify spots in a landscape and on a property, spots where these are suitable locations to plant a new tree, and here are some of the best trees to do so. These are wires. We want to use a small to medium-sized ornamental tree. This is out in the middle of nowhere. This is a low spot, so a swamp chestnut oak is a better suitable specimen. So you can have a fundraiser and say, I'm going to, for so many dollars you adopt this tree. And you can go in and you can look at pictures of it. You can go get your picture taken next to it. You can click on Earth or Google Images or whatever it is, and stay on top of your adopted tree for years and years. You can adopt an old one, or you can fund the planting of a new one. Feel free to leave your comments. I'm sure there'll be plenty. Thank you.